Hi friends, welcome back. In this week's video, I'm taking you through a full week of dump and bake or dump and go meals that have been saving me during this season. If you're new here, I'm Amanda, a mom of twins, currently in the middle of a major kitchen renovation. While I do have my appliances back, I'm still without working sinks and a dishwasher. So this week is all about keeping things simple, minimizing dishes, and still getting fresh, nourishing meals on the table for my family. Our first recipe is one of my breakfast go-tos, which is a simple egg bake. To minimize dishes due to my lack of kitchen sink, I will be using some disposable aluminum trays. However, all of these recipes will work using regular baking dishes as well. You may just have to adjust your cooking times based off what material baking dish you're using. To my baking dish, I am just adding 18 eggs, and I'm really keeping it very simple by only adding salt and spinach. I'll be pairing this each morning with some freezer waffles and some pre-cooked sausage that I will heat up in my air fryer. When everything is mixed together, this will just bake in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes until the egg is set through. To store this throughout the week, I just cover it with some aluminum foil to help keep it fresh. For dinner tonight, I will be reheating my baked ziti from my freezer meal prep. However, if you stick around until the end of this video, I will be showing you how you can make a simple baked ziti as a dump and go meal. I'm so grateful to be going through this renovation, even though it has come with a number of challenges. One of the things I was really looking forward to once the appliances came in was being able to cook fresh meals for my family. So this week really brought me so much joy just to be cooking in the kitchen again, even if it looked a little different. This baked ziti was so easy to reheat, and the noodles actually held their structure quite well. I paired this with my honey garlic chicken that was from my freezer meal prep as well, and I will leave a link for that meal prep video in the description box below. The next meal we're making and kicking off our first dump and go recipe for dinner is this cheesy chicken bake. I was inspired by somebody else's version of the Neiman Marcus chicken, but I really didn't use the same measurements. However, I did use the same type of ingredients. To start, I'm adding 1 whole rotisserie chicken in a large baking dish. You can get this chicken pre-cooked like I did, or if you have the time and the ability to dirty up some dishes, feel free to make this on your own. As you start pulling the meat off of the rotisserie chicken, be sure to cut the chicken up into tiny bite-sized pieces. Once all the chicken is cut up, I'm going to add 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, then 1 cup of sour cream, and I'll give that a good mix until everything is incorporated. I'll then add about 2 cups of cheese, some chopped green onion to taste. We will be adding some bacon to this dish, so I covered a baking sheet with tinfoil to reduce mess and waste, and just cooked this in the oven at like 400 degrees for about 15 minutes until it was the perfect crispy level. And then once that bacon is chopped up, I can mix everything together. And if you've been around for a little bit, this is definitely not my usual flavor profile when it comes to dinner, but it's been really fun exploring different recipes when you have to get creative in the kitchen. Finally, I will be topping this off with some more cheese, and you're supposed to be using Ritz crackers, but I totally forgot to pick those up from the grocery store, and I found this bag of Jimmy John's potato chips that we haven't eaten, and they were just sitting in our pantry. So I am crunching those up, and I will pour those over the top instead. They were a fine salty substitution to the Ritz crackers. This will bake at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes until everything is hot, melted, and just looks like some gooey deliciousness. I am serving this meal up with a side of rice. I used instant microwave rice and made some broccoli in my air fryer. The next time I would make this, I think I would either double the chicken or use 1 less cream of chicken soup. It was a little too rich for my liking, but it was still delicious and my kids devoured it. The next meal we have for this week is a crock pot taco dish, and it was so sad. The last time I used my crock pot, I broke the lid. The hook of this broke off from the last time I cleaned it, so that was such a bummer, but have no fear, it will still work. I ended up using these crock pot liners this time so that I could avoid having to clean my crock pot and potentially break another part of this lovely appliance. So to the crock pot, I'm adding 2 pounds of ground beef with about half of a chopped onion and 2 packets of taco seasoning. I prefer the Ziti brand, and we just use mild. That's my personal favorite. I gave everything a good mix in the bag here, and I'll be honest, this just felt wrong, but it worked out and we were able to get everything all mixed in together. To finish off this taco dish, I'm pouring a can of plain tomato sauce and then pouring over a bag of frozen diced potatoes. These are just unseasoned potatoes. Finally, we'll add some salsa of your choice. I went with a medium salsa. I'm just going to plug this in and let this cook on high for 2 to 3 hours. You want to make sure you give it a good stir while it's cooking to break up that hamburger meat. I forgot to mix mine up while it was cooking, so you'll notice that my meat wasn't totally cooked through at first. So I ended up breaking up that hamburger meat and then increasing my cook time just so that everything had a chance to fully cook. Then I'll add in some black beans and a little bit of cheese before stirring it up and covering it with a lid so the cheese can melt and everything can just kind of sit together. I really enjoyed serving this over a salad with some cottage cheese to top it off. This went great with the Taylor Farms Mexican street corn salad, or you could enjoy it with some tortillas or tortilla chips. And now for our final dish. I was so fortunate to be able to spend the evening with my nieces, and we needed a nice, quick, kid-friendly meal. And I'm doing that oven-baked pasta ziti that I promised you all earlier. So to a disposable baking dish, I'm adding 32 ounces of uncooked pasta. And I'm using the Protein Plus kind, but regular pasta would work just as well. And then I'm pouring over a large 32-ounce jar of marinara sauce before pouring in some meatballs. I might have gotten a little aggressive with the meatballs here, but it's all good. Feel free to add as many or as little meatballs as your heart desires. Then, to make sure the noodles are actually going to cook, I poured in about 3 cups of water. Now, I gave everything a stir after everything was added to the dish, but if I were to do this over again, I definitely would not add the meatballs until I've stirred the sauce and the water and the pasta first. Then I would top it with the meatballs because it's more important that your pasta gets covered with all the liquid and your meatballs can just kind of sit on top. So if you make this, I would recommend going in that direction. Then your baking dish is going to go in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. And you want to cook this covered. And after the 35 minutes is up, you'll top it with your cheese. And I was definitely getting a little suspicious at this point because my noodles were not looking like they were going to fully cook. But you'll put this back in the oven for another 15 minutes uncovered. And you just got to trust the process because after that time in the oven, everything came out fully cooked and the pasta was very tender. And that wraps up this week of simple dump and go meals. This season of our renovation hasn't been the easiest, but it's really shown me that you don't need a perfect kitchen to make good, nourishing meals for your family. Sometimes it's just about keeping things simple, working with what you have, and giving yourself a little extra grace, which I definitely struggle with. I hope this video gave you some practical ideas, especially if you're in a busy or overwhelming season and just need meals that work. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really supports my channel. And if you're looking for more realistic from scratch meals and routines, I'd love to have you here. So make sure you're subscribed. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.